Hey, Soul Warriors, this is Jessica Noel, and I'm coming at you with season 2, episode 13 of my podcast, Uncovering Your Authentic Soulful Self. And today in season 2, episode 13, we're going to be talking about self-love. So let's take a moment, like we usually do, and tune in, ground, anchor into this moment. So if it's possible for you to close your eyes, please do so. Let's take 2 of your deepest breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. And then in and out through the nose. And dropping your attention from the thinking mind, the doing mind, from the head space down into the heart center. See if you can breathe in and out through your heart center. Just with your intention, put your focus on the heart center, which is also putting your energy there. Let it open and expand so that you can receive this information not only through your mind, your brain, but also through your heart, through your intuition, your knowing of what resonates, and able to receive these energies today for the purpose of your healing and evolution. Good. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Good. So today we're going to be talking about self-love. And I also want to mention before we begin that I'm actually going to be taking the summer off of podcasts. So I will start again in the fall is the plan. So I might do one here and there if I'm extremely strongly guided, or it might be that I do little shorts. We'll see what happens for the summer, but don't expect more episodes, definitely not twice a month through the summer, which would be June, July, and August. And I'll probably start either in late August or in September. So I want to really tackle this subject today and give you some information to consider for self-love. There's a lot of talk nowadays, more so than ever before, about self-love and self-acceptance. There's also, though, a little bit more talk, I feel like, or let's say focus on relationships with others and finding a partner and being in a romantic relationship and soulmates and twin flames and all these types of things, right? But the thing is that it really needs to start. The foundational piece is your relationship with yourself. So your relationship with yourself is primary and is your foundation. And every other relationship that you get into, whether it be with your family, with your friends, or with a significant other, a romantic partner, the capacity to which you can love another person is directly correlated with how much you can love yourself, how much you are loving and accepting of yourself. And if you can move towards unconditional love for yourself and really set that as your intention, that you are going to love all parts of yourself unconditionally, then what you can do in turn is going to be able to get closer to or be able to fully unconditionally love another. And that's really a really huge goal, right, in life, is to be able to love unconditionally. That changes your life, and it changes the life of whoever that you're loving unconditionally. If you think about, if some of you might have an example of somebody that you felt loved unconditionally by. I certainly do. And it didn't matter what I did or where I was at or what was going on with me. I was fully accepted and loved unconditionally. And I've had moments of that with spiritual teachers in particular. And those are the times where you feel the safest and when you can evolve and grow the fastest, because you know that there's not anything that you can do or say that will take away this person's love for you. So the greatest gift that you can give yourself is to love yourself unconditionally and therefore be able to love others unconditionally. And that's a huge gift to give to others as well. So there's a lot of focus often of trying to move towards loving another person unconditionally. And I think that's very important, and that should be an intention. But first, we have to love ourselves unconditionally. And if you focus just on that, loving yourself unconditionally and accepting all parts of yourself, then you will naturally, a byproduct of that will be that you can naturally have compassion and unconditional love for others. So the first thing is, and the only thing that you need to focus on, is loving yourself. So how do we do that in a daily, practical way, in a daily basis? How do we love ourselves unconditionally? It really happens in the small ways, okay? So some of these things might be things to stop doing, to focus, to refocus. Let's talk about it like that. you can stop doing certain things that are the opposite of that. So let's talk about some things that you could stop. And so it's not that you're stopping in a way of resistance, because what you resist often is so often you hear what we resist persists. So instead of resisting it and trying to stop, just like if you try to stop a thought, we talked about that recently in one of the recent episodes. It's like trying to dam up the ocean, right? It's not possible, and it's an immense amount of energy to try to go um, head to head with. So instead, we just need to refocus our energy, right? So we're just sort of moving around and refocusing our energy. So just notice some of the things that you would like to eliminate and refocus your energy and do something that's opposite, or that is going to eventually create a situation where you're no longer going to be drawn to those. And I'll explain more about that in a moment. So some of the things to stop. So many people, they look at themselves in the mirror and they judge themselves. They're saying this isn't good enough, or this isn't pretty much, this isn't thin enough, or this is fat, or this is ugly. There's some level of judgment and non-acceptance that they're doing as they're looking in the mirror. And this is happening on a daily basis. And often it's happening many times a day. And so we talked before, I think it was in the last episode, about how that's literally putting an energy in that, and it's accentuating or increasing whatever that is that you don't like by sitting there and judging it. And it's also putting a low vibration energy in that place, and it can cause problems for you. It can cause a blockage, or it can even cause, in some cases, physical problems. At the very least, it emphasizes and amplifies that which you are already not loving about yourself. Let's say it that way. So if you can get in the habit, a way to refocus that is get in the habit of looking in the mirror every day and saying at least three things that you like about yourself. Say three things that you find physically attractive about yourself. Another thing that you can do, in addition to looking in the mirror and rattling off a few things that you love about yourself, start to touch yourself and say, I love you, you're beautiful, or whatever words that you want to say that are really positive. Make sure you say, I love you, I love you, as you're touching yourself. Some people put lotion on every day, so you can put lotion on and say that as you're putting the lotion on. Other people, you can just sort of give yourself a little self massage and say that. That literally rewires things energetically. So it's doing something to the subconscious mind because you're saying that. Say it out loud if you can. If not, silently is second best. So it's reprogramming your subconscious mind, but it's also doing an energetic rewiring as you're doing that, and it's also giving messages energetically to your physical body, and it's also placing healing energy in there. So that's a really good tool as well, in addition to the saying three things that you love about yourself. Another thing that sometimes is recommended, that I'll recommend to people, is if you can write down a list of your good qualities. So this is like beyond the physical. This is maybe mental or emotional qualities. So you can write down, I'm loving, I'm understanding, I'm wise. Just write down the things that you like about yourself. This will help to build the self-esteem. And then put that on your mirror and read it every day. I am beautiful. I am talented. I am wise. I am understanding. I love others. I'm compassionate. I am sensitive. I am intuitive. Whatever you can think of to write down, put those things down. And I would say, do at least three. You could do up to 10. I wouldn't do a lot more than, I would probably try to stick it to 3 to 7, because once you go beyond 7 or beyond 10, you're really starting to sort of water it down. So to keep it, you could also switch them out. So you could do maybe a list of 5 and then another list of 5, and start to read them every day. Again, this is reprogramming. So these are a couple simple tools that you can start to do every day. Some other things are more on a mental level, but they affect you very much emotionally and energetically as well. So some things that have come into my awareness a lot recently are some of those things that we do that are very harmful to ourselves. So this can come in many forms, right? And a lot of times there's an unconsciousness. So there's a lack of awareness about what it is that you're doing. And there's even a decreased sensitivity to how it's impacting you. So some examples of this, a big one is trying to control outcomes of things. So there's a variety of ways that we might be trying to control outcomes of things. And sometimes that can look like trying to find out an answer, find out how somebody is perceiving you or how someone feels about you, or try and go online and you try to search for the answer from, spiritual guidance, or from, it's like a lot of the time, the whole point is letting go. It's not about finding out the answer. So you trying to find out the answer through a tarot reading or through some other spiritual guidance often is actually the opposite of what you're supposed to be learning from the situation. And a lot of times when you are doing that over and over, it's making you feel worse. And it's like it's really an attempt, an effort to either try to prevent an outcome that you don't want or try to control an outcome or trying to know ahead of time. And that's often a trauma response. If you're trying to know something ahead of time, it's because you don't want to be harmed like you were before. Right. So, whatever the trauma was, if it was like the sudden loss of a relationship or the deception of a person or whatever it was, a lot of times there's a residual wiring, an old wiring in the brain that is making you behave compulsively or try to control things because you've been hurt before. And that part of you is trying to protect you, but it's not effective. It doesn't do anything except for cause you more pain and misery, because the information that you're searching for through doing this, or even through overthinking, sometimes people aren't really looking for guidance, they're just overthinking over and over and over. This overthinking is also an effort to, if I can just figure out the answer by thinking about it over and over, and which of course we know that doesn't actually work. But that's another example of trying to control an outcome through figuring it out or thinking so much that you find some, and that there's never a way to think. If you haven't figured it out the first few rounds, you're not, the looping is not going to get you there. And I think we all know that, but it's something that so many people struggle with, the overthinking or the trying to find out an answer. Everything that you need to know will come to you effortlessly in exactly the right timing of when you need to know it. You do not have to do anything to receive that information. It will come to you. So it becomes about trusting that that will happen. And it also becomes about remembering the times that it did happen, because I bet you that every single one of you can say, yeah, I did find out, and I found out at exactly the right timing for this reason or for that reason. So you can think about examples, and that can help to quiet that. So letting go is a huge part of loving yourself. When you're sitting there and overthinking, or you're trying to find out an answer, you're trying to do some sort of spiritual practice to find out guidance or an answer, or people do that with pendulums. I talked about that before as well. That is very harmful. Think about how you feel when you're doing that. Some people get headaches, some people get physical manifestations like that, or tension or body pain. At the very least, it starts to make you feel really crummy. You start to not feel good. You start to feel sad, or you stressed or anxiety. So that causes a lot of physiological stressors. It releases a lot of chemicals. And then it can become this habitual thing where the brain is looking for those chemicals to be released because you're wired into that now. After you do it for a while, your brain gets wired. Okay, we're looking for these chemicals. So it's like it becomes this compulsion. So it's really important that even if it's a compulsion for you, refocus. What am I going to do to love myself? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. So, what is that? Doing things, replace that, refocus your energy toward tools and activities that help you to let go and to trust that all will come to you when it needs to, that the information will come to you. And that I was just talking with a client earlier today, and it was largely about letting go, which was, it's always very interesting that the day that I'm going to do an episode, they tend to be focused around the same thing I'm about to talk about. So we talked a lot about letting go, and it becomes about, like, as you can look at examples of when you let go, you try to go down this rabbit hole, you're searching, you're trying to find this, you're trying to effort your way into getting a job, effort your way into finding out how someone feels about, effort your way into success, whatever you're trying to effort into, it sends you down this rabbit hole of striving, which is exhausting and stressful. And like I said, it releases all these chemicals and hormones that are not good for your body, cortisol for sure. And that has all kinds of impacts on the brain and on the body. And it doesn't get you the outcome that you're really desiring. So in this example, as soon as that was stopped, then the solution that was far better than anything that person could have found on her own just appeared. And it was the most magnificent solution, all of the qualities and characteristics of everything that hadn't even come to mind yet. So when you let go, and when you say, I'm not doing this to myself anymore, I'm going to let go, and I'm going to let God, or I'm going to let go and let the divine or the universe, let go and let the universe take care of me, because the universe already is taking care of you. It's time to let go and just allow these things to effortlessly flow to you. And like I said, they will be better than anything that you could have made up or created or efforted your way into. Far, far better. The sooner you let go, the easier, the more peaceful, the better everything becomes. So it becomes about I choose not to do this to myself anymore. I choose to let go. I choose to surrender. I choose to let the universe take care of me and stop struggling against it. And then your manifestations, the things that you far better than the things that you want, come to you easily, effortlessly, and beautifully, far more abundant and perfect than anything you could have conjured in your mind or you could have efforted your way into. So, another way to love ourselves becomes about choosing to do things that are good for us. And this really starts to move into discipline. So discipline can have such a negative connotation, and parts of ourselves, especially if there's been trauma or some childhood things, we tend to want to like rebel against discipline, even though that's like what's best for us and makes us feel the best. So let's use a different word instead. So instead of discipline, let's talk about it like consistency. If you can do a consistent action, like can we make this the summer of self-love? Like let's do that. Let's make this. Maybe I'll like do a little post every now and then about little mini post about self-love. So if we can make this the summer of self-love and make it all about you and your healing and your well-being, think about the things that you'd like to, let's say, improve. Like who is the highest version of you? Is the highest version of you healthier? Is the highest version of you lighter? Maybe there's as you start to take care of yourself, maybe you're walking, maybe you're exercising more, maybe that starts to make your body appear lighter, make you feel lighter. So don't focus on I want to lose weight, I want to do this, I want to change that. Focus more on like how can I love and heal myself? Well, we know that walking, that exercising, that running, that lifting weights, whatever, that yoga, whatever it is for you, we know those things are really good and they make you feel really good. So let's focus on that. What makes you feel really good? What makes you feel not good? That can be helpful sometimes too if you can't figure out what makes you feel good. Like if you look in the mirror and you're saying and you're dissatisfied with how you look, what's going to make you feel good is knowing that every day you're putting a little drop in the bucket of moving towards feeling better. So if you're, let's say that some people want to lose weight. So let's say that somebody wants to lose weight. And so every time they look in the mirror, they think about how they haven't done it yet and how, it's still the same as it was, or maybe it's getting worse or whatever it is. And so if they're walking every day and they're eating healthier, then that's also going to ease the disharmony that they feel when they look in the mirror and they see that they're in the same place, because they're not really going to be in the same place. They're going to start to see changes, but most importantly, they're going to know that they're doing everything in their power to solve that, right? To heal that, to change that. So start to think about what would make you feel better. So if you're thinking about, man, I keep eating this food, I keep doing this and it doesn't make me feel good. Like a lot of the time sugar doesn't make you feel well, right? Like for most people, sugar does not make them feel very good. Like lots of sugar at least. Or some dairy. A lot of people have sensitivities to dairy. So if you eliminate that and you allow you just say, I'm eliminating this because this is not how I can love myself. I can love myself by limiting this food, by eliminating this food. And then you start to notice how good you feel. So that's another way to love yourself, is to change the way that you're eating, change the way that you drink more water, exercise more. These are the physical things that you can do to love yourself more. So we just talked about a really big mental, emotional one, about letting go and about not allowing yourself to do things that feel bad. And the same thing goes with, if you start to say, oh, I really want, let's say you're trying to eliminate, oh, I really want some ice cream. And you know that doesn't make you feel good. You know that the next day that you feel guilty or you feel like I shouldn't have done that or whatever it is, eliminate that. Say, I'm not going to do that because I choose love. Maybe that's just a thing that you say in your head all the time. No, I choose love. I choose self-love. So anytime those thought comes up, like the compulsion, there's like often wiring in the brain, like when I feel this way, I want to go eat ice cream. When I feel this way, I want to go do this. When I feel this way, I want to go drink. Whatever it is for you, start to say, no, I choose love, because your brain is just trying to follow the wiring, right? So it's not trying to hurt you or anything. It's just like, oh, this is what we're used to doing. So it's like you have to interrupt that somehow. And it can be as simple as, no, I choose self-love. Do the things that are good for you. The things that are good for you are good for everyone else in your life as well. Remember that. So the best thing that you can do for those in your life and people that you're in relationships with is to love yourself and to treat yourself well, because they're going to get a better version of you as well. So this is actually not just about you loving yourself. This is also about like we talked in the very beginning, this is about your ability and capacity to better love others and to give them a better version of yourself as well. Good. So meditation, spiritual practices, these are also ways that you can love yourself. Doing things to help your spiritual unfoldment to develop, your spiritual evolution. And remember that I have this meditation initiation and technique coming up soon here in June. So please come to that. It's very simple. It's going to be a very, very quick path to moving into meditative and deeply transformative states, and very, very simple and quick as well. So please come to that. It's going to be a beautiful technique, a beautiful day, very purifying as well, and healing. So whatever your practice is, whether it's that one or whether it's something else, please do your practices, even if it's just a prayer and a couple minutes of breathing. If you do that every day, that's another way to love yourself and to move yourself towards your ultimate, fullest potential. So we can also look at it like, we've kind of already talked about it this way, but we can look at it like this hierarchy of needs. So I just want to kind of go back and say what I've already said. So like physically, right? So what can you do physically to love yourself? You can take really good care of your body. You can feed yourself really healthy foods. You can tell yourself in the mirror how much you love yourself. You can touch your body and tell yourself you love yourself. That's, like we said, that's doing multiple things. And then we have mental, emotional. You can say, no, I'm not going to do any of these behaviors. I'm not going to sit there and look on my phone. I'm not going to watch TV for hours on end. I'm not going to try to find out answers to things. I'm not going to try to loop in my head. I choose self-love instead. So that is helping you mentally, emotionally. You're choosing to not do any longer the things that harm you. You're choosing instead to do things like, maybe you take up a hobby. Maybe you start doing some sort of creative outlet. Maybe it's like music, or maybe it's dance, or maybe it's painting, or some type of artwork, or any other hobby. It doesn't matter. Something that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like you are loving yourself. And do some things for stress reduction for the body. Like, okay, I'm going to light some candles. I'm going to use essential oils. I'm going to do some self-healing, or I'm going to go to somebody that will do healing for me. That's another way to love yourself, is receive healing from another. Receive massages, whatever. We have plenty of that at the Center for New Life. So come to any of us. We can help you with your self-love routines. So at the physical level, so take a hot bath, bubble bath, those types of things. Take breaks, right? There's so much stimulation. Let's move on to the mental, emotional. So much stimulation mentally and emotionally, well, that impacts emotionally through, in this everyday world. It's like we have so much doing and things that we have to do, so much things to think about, to remember, to recall, to achieve, all these types of things. It's really important to take breaks. Just take a break with silence. There's so much stimulation. And then a lot of times people's breaks are looking at their phone and getting more stimulated. So see if you can take silent breaks and just breathe, And that was good. That's going to do you so much good if you can take silent breaks and just breathe. Even if it's just for like 30 seconds or 2 minutes, just breathe a little bit, take some breaks, listen to the silence. So we just talked about like how to replace the mental, emotional, refocus your energy to doing some of these things. Oh, this is really helpful. These are frequency tuners, love frequency tuners. So they emit, this is a whistle. I don't think I've shown this before. So this, you can wear it around your neck. We sell these at the center. We sell them for, I think it's $50, and they're like $70 online, the love tuners are. So then you take this out. And this also helps to slow your breathing down. Highly recommend it. So you take a deep breath in. And then what the sound is 528 hertz, which is the love frequency. So then breathe in again. And it's really infusing your energy field and the whole room that you're in with this love frequency, in addition to slowing your breathing down. So that's another really good tool to quiet the mind, to take a break, to keep yourself centered and grounded. And then at the spiritual level, prayer, meditation, any other spiritual practices that are right for you, working towards your spiritual evolution through those things. Silence and meditation, taking time to yourself is very key for that. And if that's all you do, it's going to really benefit you greatly and change you. Going to high frequency places, the Center for New Life is extremely high frequency. So going there and just going to some of our groups, sitting in our meditation room. Embodied Wisdom is second Friday of every month. I do at 6 o'clock. That is extremely high frequency. So if that's all you did once a month and you did some of these self-love, use some of these self-love tools, you would be advancing very rapidly, far more rapidly than if you weren't doing these things. So there's so many different group opportunities, and there's other places as well that are very high frequency, but make sure that you're in a clean, pure, high frequency environment that you spend some time in. If that's one of the things that you choose to do, that's going to rapidly move you forward on your spiritual path. Staying away from people that make you feel bad. So people that make you have to work hard to stay centered. If it's possible to put some distance between you and them, that's going to be very helpful. People that bring up the wounds in you very frequently, those that it's normal for your wounds to come up sometimes, and they're supposed to, so that you can heal them and become aware of them. But people that are constantly triggering you and bringing these wounds up, and it's not a very beneficial relationship. Like there are some relationships that people say, "Oh, your twin flame is gonna like trigger you, bring up." Well, I don't really believe that. I believe that there's karmic energies that come together, and like we talked about before, they're sort of puzzle pieces that fit together. Both wounds basically are mirroring each other, are fitting together like these puzzle pieces, but not in a good way, right? So kind of like oil and water, it doesn't mix. And so it's going to bring out the worst in you. So if somebody's bringing out the worst in you, stop doing this twin flame thing. So whoever's listening to this, you have to just back out and say, is this healthy? Is this the right thing for me? Is this person enhancing my life, right? So you have to take responsibility for whatever's coming up in you and your own wounds that might be being triggered. But if it's somebody, if you look at like the whole spread of your people you interact with, like your friends, your family members, maybe even your previous significant others, if you look at that compared to whoever this person is that maybe you're with now that you feel like triggers you a lot, is it far like more unhealthy than these other relationships? Like, is it different than all of them? If it's like you kind of tend to get triggered by all relationships, then that's something to look at, right? But if this is something where this particular relationship is triggering you in ways that other things don't, and it's not like you get triggered and then you heal. If you get triggered and you heal immediately and then it's gone for good, that's wonderful. But if you get triggered and then you get triggered again and then you get, and you're not really getting respected or whatever else is happening, then you want to look at that and say, is this loving myself? Is staying in this relationship loving myself? That's always got to be your go-to question. Is this loving myself? And if it's not, then it's time to move on. It's time to make some changes, or at least distance yourself while you figure it out. Okay. Take some distance. So many times we can't really see what's going on because we're in it. So if you can start to take some distance from the situations, you can get a more clear perspective. Is what I'm doing today, is what I'm doing in this moment loving myself? And if it's not, refocus your energy. Well, what is? What is loving myself? What would loving myself look like in this moment? What would loving myself look like in this relationship? What would loving myself look like in my daily life, like as a daily routine? If you can start to, if you choose to set, let me look at the time real quick. If you choose to set a daily routine, it's really important to make it very loose and achievable. One of the things that I see so many people do, it's very, very common, is they set a daily routine and they set this bar for what they want to achieve, or this goal. They set goals. I don't even recommend doing that, but I would say if you want to do a routine that's going to move you towards becoming a higher version of yourself, that's good. You've got a nice solid routine for self-care and self-love. Make it very easy. So many people, they go from 0 to 100, and it's like, to do that consistently is almost impossible. So make it really easy. Like, for example, if you want to meditate every day, don't be like, oh, I'm going to meditate for an hour every day. You go from not meditating at all to meditating for an hour, you're never going to be able to sustain that. It's like highly unlikely. So just say, I'm going to do every single day. If you want to do it daily, I'm going to do every single day. I'm going to do a prayer, or I'm going to do an affirmation, whatever you're going to do. And I'm going to do 2 minutes of breathing, and then try to do a half hour, try to do 15 minutes or whatever you want to try. But make the bar achievable. Okay. Make it easily achievable, and then just try to exceed it. And that's another way of you're loving yourself, because you're developing self-trust. So much of the time we don't even trust ourselves, right? Because we keep setting the bars. I'm gonna go on this diet, and I'm gonna eat only fruits and vegetables for like 3 months. Well, I mean, that's probably pretty unrealistic, right? How about like something like, I'm going to eat as many nutritious fruits and vegetables as I can And don't even talk about the other things that you want to avoid. Just focus on nourishing the body and feeding it what it needs, and then the other things will start to fall away. So just try to look at it like that. Like, how can you um, just set the bar a little bit more achievable, and then work from there. So once you achieve that, I don't really like the word achieve. Once you're able to meet that commitment, that self commitment, let's say that once you're able to meet that self commitment, then you can move it up, and then you can move it up. But this is a way to help develop self trust, because if you're like, I'm only going to eat fruits and vegetables, or I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, or whatever you're going to do, then you don't do it, then you're not trusting yourself at a subconscious level. So there's this issue that comes up of, like, then you say all these things, and then you're not even able to consciously do it, because there's this mismatch with your subconscious and your conscious mind, and there's just no trust. So you have to start slow and achievable to be able to start to build that self trust within yourself, and then you're going to be able to automatically fulfill your commitments without really even having to think about it. So again, start really easy and achievable. Set the bar. So it's kind of weird that I'm hearing myself about to hear myself say this. Like, set the bar so low that it's like impossible not to achieve it, and then move it up, and then move it up, and then move it up. Okay. That's a way to love yourself. It's not a way to love yourself to set it so high that you can't achieve it. That's like a bankrupt perfectionism is a good way to say that. It's a perfect ideal that you have that is not even achievable. So how can I love myself in this moment? Just think about that. How can I love myself in this moment, in this situation? How can I love myself in this situation? That might be setting boundaries. That might be distancing yourself. That might be taking a break. That might be engaging fully and having joy and doing something fun, right? That might be adding more fun and more joy to your life. And that might be getting out of your comfort zone. Loving yourself more fully can look like getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that are good for you and that will be fun or different, but that is not necessarily going to be comfortable, right? So that can be a way to love yourself as well. Letting go of the need to know what's coming next, letting go of the need to have like, for those of you that are single that want a romantic relationship in your life, letting go of the need to have it is a way to love yourself. Because if you have this need and this desire, it's keeping you at a lower frequency, right? It's keeping you in this attached state rather than this unconditional love state. So you have to just let everything go and be autonomous. Focus on you and you alone. This is the summer of self-love. So focus on only you and you alone. And the thing is that it's a paradox, right? The moment that you start to do that, everything starts to fall at your feet. Everything that you've wanted and that you've put out there in the universe will start to come to you effortlessly. The moment that you start to say, I'm only going to focus on loving myself, keeping myself balanced in a healthy state. And that's going to mean, if you're balanced in a healthy state physically, emotionally, and spiritually, that means that you're going to be in a very high frequency, and that means that everything is just going to come to you effortlessly. That's all you have to do. I'm just giving you right now the secret of life is that you just have to take care of yourself and love yourself. That's it. Everything else follows. So if there's one thing that you need to do to get everything else in order, in alignment, it's to love yourself in these small little ways, one day at a time. Good. Okay, so I feel like that's complete for today. So let's take a moment to close. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose. Feel the top of your head. Feel the energy sort of above the top of your head. See if you can sense that. Let that open wide. Just let some healing light pour through your body, through this open crown energy center. All down your arms, down your face, down your neck, down your arms, down your torso, your legs, your feet. Just let it flow through the body, out the palms, out the feet. Good. And just feel the heart center open even more wide. Feel an activation of the pineal, the third eye. You might see light or feel sensation. And just feel peace, calmness, love. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. I want to say one more thing, and that is a lot of people talk about loss in love or loss in relationships in some way. Like they loved someone, and then they have this idea that when their relationship ends, if it does end, that love is gone. But the truth is that love that you extended that person was always yours. Every bit of that was yours, and it's still there. You didn't lose anything. It didn't go anywhere. It's inside of you. So can you start to, instead of trying to push it outwards, can you start to move it back towards yourself? That love that's in there. Just think about all of the energy you're expending on other people and other situations. This is the summer of self love. So take all that energy that you're pushing out there and turn it back to you. You can even do that visualization when you feel yourself focused outwardly. Imagine taking all of that and putting it back into you, filling yourself, loving yourself. Good. So I have so enjoyed connecting with you today, and I also look forward to the next time. Bye for now.